Hi, I'm Georgina and I'm an evidence-based baby and toddler sleep educator. In this video, we're going to be looking at the very common challenge of early waking. Now, having a little one that wakes very early at the crack of dawn or even earlier is certainly not something that most parents enjoy. When you're feeling sleep deprived, you need all the sleep you can get, and the last thing you want to do is get up early. So what causes little ones to wake really early? Look, sometimes an early wake can just be a one-off blip, but if your little one is waking up early quite often or every morning, then the cause is likely to be one of two things. The first possibility is that it's normal for your little one to wake quite early, or should I say earlier than you would prefer. So maybe, for example, they're waking at 6 a.m. and you'd really like them to sleep until 7 a.m. You've probably heard of the circadian rhythm. It's one of the two systems in the body that helps regulate sleep. Now, the circadian rhythm takes its cues from the environment around us, the light and the sound, and it controls the release of hormones that cause us to feel sleepy at certain times of the night and day and alert at others. The circadian rhythms of babies and children tend to run earlier on average than adults, so that can be why our little ones wake quite early, while most adults, even if we're not sleep deprived, will tend to wake a bit later. If your little one is waking earlier than you and it's already light outside, there might not be a lot you can do about it. You may be able to try to keep the room really dark using blackout blinds or curtains, and this could be an especially good idea if you live somewhere very far north in the northern hemisphere or very far south in the southern hemisphere and it gets really light really early in summer. But in most cases, it's much easier for us parents to align our sleep schedules with those of our babies or young children rather than the other way around, trying to get our babies to fit our sleep schedules. So if you're feeling a little bit tired, the best thing you can probably do is try to go to bed a little bit earlier instead. Now, if they're waking super early, and I'm talking like 4 a.m. or 4:30, 5:30 maybe, if it's still quite dark outside at that time, then there's probably a different cause. And the most likely reason for this early waking is that your little one doesn't need as much sleep as you think. There's actually a really wide variation in terms of what's normal when it comes to how much sleep babies and toddlers need. There's been quite a lot of research in this area in the past decade or so, and what they've found is that for babies, anywhere between 9 and 18 hours of sleep per 24 hours, that's total sleep, naps and night sleep combined, is usually considered normal. For toddlers, it's anywhere between 9 and 16 hours, so a little less on average, but still a very wide variation. So some need as few as 9 or 10 or 11 hours in total, and they're perfectly fine and normal. Now, if you put a little one to bed and they only need, say for example, 10 hours of sleep overnight, then one of the things that might happen is that they wake early. Say, for example, you put them to bed at 7 p.m. Then by 5 a.m., 10 hours later, they're going to be wide awake, ready to start the day, assuming that they've had a restful sleep overnight because they've had their 10 hours. So if this is the reason for your little one's early waking, then you can address it by simply giving them a later bedtime, which should help push their morning wake time later. Now, it does take time for this change to take effect, sometimes a good week or longer. It's quite similar to making an adjustment for daylight savings. So stick with it and you should see morning wake time push out later over time. Now, if you have a particular wake time that you'd like to aim for, then basically all you need to do is push out bedtime by the same amount of extra time you want them to sleep for in the morning. So in the example I just gave, if you've been putting them to bed at 7 p.m. and they've been waking at 5 a.m., you could try an 8 p.m. bedtime, and you should find that they start waking around 6 a.m. after a few days to a week, assuming it's not too light and noisy at that time where you are. And if it's still dark at that time, you may be able to get them to sleep even later. So you could try an 8:30 bedtime for a 6:30 wake time, or a 9 p.m. bedtime for a 7 a.m. wake time. You can do whatever suits you best. So basically what you're doing here is just shifting their whole sleep pattern forwards. And you may find that their naps shift a bit later as a result of this too. Now, this is only going to work if your little one is sleeping pretty well at night. So they're sleeping for decent stretches, they're not excessively wakeful or restless during the night, and they're settling quickly at bedtime and resettling quickly if they do wake during the night. If your little one is waking really early and they're also very wakeful or restless at night, and perhaps you're also finding that they might be taking some time to fall asleep at bedtime or to resettle when they do wake at night, then just shifting their bedtime later may not help. But the good news is that if you are having these kind of challenges, then it's very likely that there is something you can do to help your little one fall asleep quickly at bedtime, fall asleep quickly when they do wake at night, sleep for decent stretches at night, and also have somewhat of a reasonable wake time in the morning, all without any form of sleep training. If that sounds like something that may be of interest to you, then I'd love to invite you to take a look at my education session on excessive night wakefulness, which explores the causes of excessive night waking and also details a solution that you may be able to try. So if you're interested in that, then the link is below this video. So thanks for joining me. I hope that this video has helped you understand a little bit more about early waking and why it happens, and also what you may be able to do about it. Now, if you do decide to give a later bedtime a go, I'd love to know how you go. So let me know in the comments below. Thanks, and see you again soon.